And hello, and welcome back to Maryland Lifestyle with Ruth Ann Strauss.
And I'm Keith Cooper. How is everybody doing today?
It's a great day.
Is it?
It's a great day to be alive. There's a song about that.
Absolutely. I so last week we did record, right?
Yeah,
I
we
think
sure did.
I had to buzz out a little early,
Yeah,
and
but
I
I had
think we're a
Sarah.
little late. Right, Sarah from Howard County Board of Realtors. That
Yes,
was great.
the CEO, not the president. That was my fault.
Right. Either way, it's
Yeah,
a big title.
it is. And you missed her funny story. So apparently she went out with like the Association of Realtors out on the Eastern Shore when she was like president there.
Okay.
And she took them all on a little like ferry ride out to Smith Island and did like a
Nice.
tour out there and like did a head count when they got back on the ferry. And the one guy said that, oh yeah, Michael or whoever it is in the bathroom. So she's like, all right, cool, we can leave. Yeah, that realtor was not in the bathroom and was left on the island.
So what happened?
So they ended up having to get him like another ferry back, but he was left on the island and had to wait. And I was like, you just left a man behind.
Oh my God. What's the
Crazy.
saying? No man left behind,
Right.
no one left behind, or
Well,
something like that.
one realtor was left behind,
One
unfortunately.
realtor left behind on
Yeah.
that
So it's
open
pretty funny.
island.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
Hey, he can start building and selling.
Right? I was like, he should be walking around handing out his business card, meeting
Right,
new
why
people on
not?
the island. So that was kind of cool. I was like, all right, neat. But yeah, so today I want to talk more about like Baltimore. I mean, you and I both grew up just outside of Baltimore City. Like we could drive right into the city in 5-10 minutes each, easy peasy. So I
Absolutely.
just kind of wanted to like tell people what it's really like because I know everybody has their ideas of Baltimore and ooh, scary city, bad place. No, it's really not, depending on
Yeah.
where you
And
go.
look, I mean, th- you're going to find good and bad in Ebony and Ivory, but you're going to find bad in every. I mean, you can find something. There's bad parts, I think, in every area of the country.
Right.
But Baltimore seems like it gets a rap just because of the crime in the city, which again, you can go to New York, Chicago, which are much bigger cities, but
Right.
there's areas that are heavily, crime, and there's areas that are decent areas. It's just where you're going to be. But, there's a lot of younger people, I think, not younger, it all depends, but there's parts of the city where it's a lot of like people will get their first home, they're right out of college, they're living, by themselves or with roommates.
Canton Fells, Bolton
Right.
Hill, Brewers Hill.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of cool historic areas in
Yeah.
downtown Baltimore, but then even, moving out to the counties that are on the outskirts of Baltimore City, like Baltimore County, obviously, Anne Arundel County, Harford County, like Baltimore City isn't just downtown in the city,
Right.
but there's a lot of different things, you know, in Baltimore area that, for buyers, Maryland as a whole, people always call me up and their biggest question is, well, what's my benefit for being a first time home buyer?
Oh,
And
it's not a big one.
right. And I'm just
A
like,
few hundred
well,
dollars.
yeah, I'm like, well, what do you mean? Because here's the deal. The true benefit for being a first time home buyer in Maryland is you're exempt from the state transfer tax.
Right.
So on $100,000 purchase, that's $250.
Woo.
Yeah. So that's the benefit. But there are a lot of, there's down payment assistance programs
Right. Like
that,
Maryland Mortgage Program has
yeah.
one.
So the biggest one is through the Maryland Mortgage Program, which essentially you can get up to 5% of whatever you're purchasing. So on a $300,000 purchase, because you can get it off the total loan amount, but you're basically almost getting $15,000. It'll cover your down payment plus a little bit of the closing costs. And some people can be real fortunate. And if they combine that and then they get a little bit of seller help, I just talked to somebody earlier, they could buy a house for like $1,000 out of pocket or
Yep.
less. So, but everybody wants to know, well, what about the grants?
Right.
Because there's a difference with grants, they're forgiven. It's just money that's given to you.
Yeah. You never pay it back, just free money.
Right. You don't have to pay it back. There's no payment on it. But the thing is, most of the grants that you're going to find in around the Baltimore area are really if you're buying in Baltimore City.
Right.
Like there's a couple that you can do, but they're real stringent and only a few lenders offer them. But as far as like city grants that, most lenders can probably do, um, it's people will take so the let's just peel the banana back a little bit. So the bottom line is if you want to buy in Baltimore City, okay, and you want to get one of the grants in Baltimore City, you have to do your home buyer counseling, which has to be done by a HUD sponsored counseling class or agency.
And those are able to be done online, I'm told.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before you had to do them in person. Now I
Yeah.
believe you can do them online. But the thing you got to remember is you cannot make an offer until you've completed that class.
Oh, see, that's good to know. A lot of
Yeah, so
people probably wouldn't know
yeah,
that.
you cannot make an like I have people that call me that want to make an offer today and they think they're going to get all this money from the city
Yeah.
and they haven't done anything. So it's like, well, you're doing it backwards.
Right.
So you got to do your home buyer education, but then you also have to do one-on-one counseling. Now, a lot of these times these classes fill up and you got to wait maybe a month or a couple months, and then you
Oh.
got to do your one-on-one. Once you get that certificate, the only thing that means is you've taken your first time home buyer education and you are eligible. You're eligible. It doesn't mean you get, it just means you're eligible to take advantage of some of these grants. Now, here's the thing. Some of these grants, like there's one in Baltimore City called Live Near Your Work.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard of that one.
Right. So they'll give you, for instance, $2,500. And then there is a potential, if they choose, there's a employer match. Okay.
Oh,
So
cool.
essentially you can get 5 grand. But here's the kicker. With that, you must do it in conjunction with MMP. Like you can't just do Live Near Your Work
Okay.
without doing MMP. So let's say you make too much money for MMP or your credit isn't high enough for MMP because with MMP, the Maryland mortgage program you brought up, there's certain caveats you have to meet. Like there's income limits, there is credit score limits. So you have to have a 640 credit score to be eligible for MMP. And you're capped out at a 45% debt to income ratio, which means whatever your gross monthly income is, if you take your mortgage payment plus all your other liabilities that show on your credit,
Like car payments
yeah,
and
you add
okay.
up all those payments plus your mortgage payment divided by your gross monthly income, you get your total debt ratio. You can't exceed 45, which isn't,
That sounds high to me, honestly.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
if I'm
well,
thinking about it,
you
half my money going towards my mortgage
you would
and
think
all,
that's high, but
but it's not.
sometimes I mean, it is. It like again, it can be. Let
Yeah.
me put it that way. But if you're at a 680 or above, you can go up to 50%.
Ah,
So
okay.
again, just because somebody is eligible for Live Near Your Work, but if they're not eligible for MMP, well, they're screwed. Sorry, but that's that's what it
I
boils
don't think
down
this
to.
show is censored, so I think
No,
you're okay.
well,
Although I
whatever.
could censor us, I do have buttons to do
Yeah,
that
but
now.
what I mean is just because you take the class and some counselor tells you you're eligible,
Yeah.
like vacants to value. If a property is vacant for 12 months, that property would essentially be eligible for that grant, which I think
Okay.
is $10,000 maybe.
Still good.
But if you find a property you love and somebody lives there,
You can't
Well,
get it.
you can't
It's
get
not
it.
vacant. Yeah.
So again, you gotta be real. Look, and I'm just gonna be blunt. Down payment assistance and grants and all that stuff, they're great, right? They're absolutely wonderful for people that absolutely need it.
Right.
Like, I have a lady right now, she's getting a large gift from a relative, right? She's getting probably like $160,000 total.
Whew.
And the down payment is like 135 or whatever. So if I try to go take her and try to get her down payment assistance through the state, they're going to laugh because then you're gonna because they're
'Cause you
putting
need
so
it.
much down,
Yeah.
they're gonna fail what's called the liquidity test. Because if you have over 20% into the transaction and then you're trying to get another 5% from them,
Yeah.
they're gonna say, "Well, just lower your down payment." They want you to use your own money
Yeah.
first.
I mean, that's
It
fair.
Right,
That's fair. Not I mean, some rich person shouldn't be able to just get all this grant money and use up all the grant money when it's out there for people that need it.
right.
So that's fair.
I couldn't agree more, and look, there are there are people that 100% absolutely need it, but keep in mind, if you are going down that road, like even with the Maryland Mortgage Program, if you're even though it's a deferred loan, you don't have to pay it back till you sell or refi, there's no payment on it, but if you're getting money from them, you have to use their rates for your first mortgage.
Yeah.
So, like this one girl that was talking about it with the large down payment, she's locked at 5.99. Well, if she were doing a conventional loan and getting the maximum from MMP, she'd be at 6.875.
Wow. So you're
So,
paying for it either way. It's just
right, again, you're paying for nothing in this world is for
right.
free. So even though you're accept the grants, but
Yeah.
even then, a lot of times it's like banging a square peg into a round hole. Because look, let's say you're not eligible or you make too much money or whatever it might be. I mean, there are low down payment programs, like for loans, like to
Right.
get a house. Like I got a call last week from someone that thought they had to put 20% down on a home.
Oh no. I mean, it helps because then your monthly payment's
Right.
lower, but it also yeah, no.
Right. It can help, but people don't realize that, there's FHA loans with 3.5% down. There's conventional loans with 3% down sometimes
Yeah.
if you're a first time buyer. So
There's lots of
again,
options.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's lots of options and there's also lots of avenues to get assets. Like when people think or when I talk to people and I'm talking to them about buying a home and you ask them what area they want to be in, where they would like to keep their payment and how much cash they're working with. You ask those three things, you back yourself into a price. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
But
But
if
they
you
often don't know what they have.
right.
Yeah.
So but here's the thing, and you can probably attest to this. If I said to you, "So how much money are you working with as far as like down payment and closing costs?" 95% of the people, especially first-time home buyers, they automatically go to what's in my checking and
Exactly.
savings.
Not what's in my 401k,
Right.
not what kind of gift I can get. Yeah.
Right. They don't think about, hey, I have a retirement account where again, yes, there you are taxed if you take money out of that. But as far as penalties go, a lot of times you're not penalized, especially if you're buying a home. And so if you've got, 100 grand sitting in a retirement account and you really want to buy a home, pulling out 20 grand, to buy a $300,000 home, if you really want a home that bad, and a home is a great investment.
Oh, yeah.
People really need to understand that home values are not going, yeah, they've been saying for 4 years now, ever since the rates started going up, "Oh boy, values, we're gonna have a repeat of
Yeah,
2008."
didn't happen.
And I've been trying to tell people that it was a tragedy what
Yeah,
happened
it was
back
totally
in
different.
'06, '07, '08, '09, all the way up until, like, 2012, 14. It took time to get out of that. But the reality is back then, it was the wild, wild west.
Yeah,
You would have appraisers literally calling loan officers, asking what they needed to make their loan work.
that is so scary.
It's and people wonder, "Well, why do values go backwards?"
Yeah,
Well, because they were inflated to begin with.
now they're real.
Now,
Now
I
they have to
mean,
follow guidelines, and they all have to have the
there's
same
but
system.
it's not even that, but there's so many, um, I hate to use the word computerized, but electronic checks and balances when appraisals do come in.
Yeah,
They get ran through Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD on the back end. They give it a score. These appraisers are terrified about getting taken to their board,
oh, I'm sure.
if they last thing they will ever wanna do in today's world is inflate a value just to make a deal work.
Yeah.
So, again, values actually, I saw a report last week. The values have gone up, I think, 3%. Home sales increased last
Yay
month
for
like
homeowners.
3%.
Yeah.
So, again, you're not seeing the 25 or 30% we saw in 2020, 2021.
That was
But
wild.
the fact of the matter is, a home that's appreciating at 10% a year, maybe even 5%, what kind of return are you getting on, an investment account or a stock account or a regular savings account? Let it sit in the house.
Yeah.
So there are ways to get into a home. I've, I was able to gain so many buyers just because of telling them they can use retirement, they can use whatever it may be.
Yeah.
They can use that stuff to try to get into a home.
Yeah. Knowledge is power, and a lot of the buyers out there and sellers even just don't have the knowledge. So
Right.
that's where you and I come in.
And
Education.
we try.
We do.
But
Not everybody listens, but we try.
right. And the thing with I want to say Maryland, but in every county, there's a couple counties out there that do have their own down payment
Right. Like
assistance
Montgomery.
program, like Montgomery. Well, PG County has one. Montgomery is part of MMP,
Is
but
it?
yeah, but Anne
Oh,
Arundel
who
County
knew?
has one, but that
Nice.
kind of mirrors MMP,
Yeah.
and I've done a couple of them, and they are, it's crazy formulas, and any money that they see that you have, they're gonna wanna apply it. So,
Mm.
it's if you're trying to hide money and to get down payment assistance,
Go to the Cayman Islands. No,
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
people, they want everything when you're
Yeah.
trying to do that. But again,
Rightfully so.
yeah,
Checks
because
and balances.
right, they're giving you money and they wanna make sure that they're giving it to the right people,
Absolutely.
and it's not even about, qualifications, although that is very important with that stuff, but it's also, you know, do you have 20% that you're not telling me about?
Right.
Or, so again, down payment assistance is great, grants are great, but it's really if you really need it,
Yeah.
it's not just because you're eligible or you want money or whatever it may be, because you can take any homebuyer education and become eligible for whatever's out there. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean the property is eligible, or there's certain caveats that you have to jump through hoops. Like there's one city grant out there that wants what's called a HQS inspection.
Now what is that? I've never even heard of this one myself, so
In 23 plus years of doing this, I've had it twice, and they are a nightmare.
Okay.
Think about a home inspection
Yeah.
on steroids that an underwriter sees.
Ooh, that's rough. How you get that loan through?
Right, because, like, normally you get a regular home inspection.
Right, right.
We don't get that. We don't
No,
want that. The
no.
only thing we do is order an appraisal, and if anything comes back subject to you gotta get but otherwise, you don't really hear anything. So, an HQS inspection, we like me, I can't even order it. Like, it has to be ordered from, like, I think it's a third party that has to order it because they're not that common. But when you need one, oh, it can be a deal killer
Oh, I bet.
because they will come back like on a home inspection, they come back with every little thing under the sun, and half the stuff is little, and it's a moot point.
I had one that the light bulb was out.
Right,
I'm like, "So what? The socket works. What?"
right, right. So,
Ugh.
again, you're dealing with this HQS report that's kind of I shouldn't have said it's basically between a home inspection and an appraisal, but on steroids,
Mm.
because they will mark all these little things, and the city will want, I think all, if not most of that fixed.
Oh, good
So
luck with
then you
that.
gotta get it finalized and make sure that everything's done, and it is just
See, that's wild because then it's put on
because
the
then the
seller.
seller
Right.
gets
So what if the seller just doesn't have that kind of cash laying around and
right,
won't have that cash till closing? Now they just can't sell their house. Like, that's crazy.
right. It can be very, very scary because,
Sounds like it.
you think you're getting all this money, then you have an appraisal, that was okay, but
What
then
brings that on? Sorry, not but
it's it's just their guideline. It's
it's
like
just the
like if you
city does it? You
yeah,
said
the
okay.
city wants you they demand you because when there used to be a grant downtown, I think they still have it. I used to use it a lot. That's when I would do the HQS. It was called CDBG, Community Development Block Grant or something,
Yeah.
and they required a HQS report, and it was it's it can be detrimental to your deal because even the buyer may not care about half of the stuff on it.
Well, right. And that's what always gets me is like if the buyer's okay with it and if the like money for the appraisal kind of checks out, why do those little details matter?
Right,
It's crazy to
it's
me.
like I always tell people that I learned a long over 20 years ago in this business. I had a investor. He was buying an investment property, and it said as is, right? So when we ordered and it's a conventional loan, it's an investment property. So we ordered the appraisal, and it came back subject to, and the guy's like, "Well, I don't care, like, I'm buying it as is." And so I
Right.
went to my boss at the time because, I'm just learning all the ropes and stuff, and I'm like, "Hey," I go, "This is as is, like, the contract is as is."
Not with the
And
lender
he's
though.
li and he looked at me and he goes, "Well, the contract's as is, your buyer might wanna purchase it as is, but we ain't lending on
Right.
it as is." So, it was a wake up, and it
Yeah,
was something I've never forgotten
I bet.
because even people think people think if there's a foot of water and a stream coming from the ceiling, I can't take an FHA, but if you go conventional, we'll be fine. Well, no, you
No,
won't because
no.
that's a health and safety
Right.
issue.
And I hear they're getting stricter with
Yeah,
conventional loans now than they used to be.
and a conventional appraiser will call that out.
As they I mean, they should, but, like, a lot of people don't understand that as is thing, and, like, I've even had sellers that are like, "I'm selling it as is," and I'm like, "That's fine. I can put it on the market and say we want an as is deal. Doesn't mean we're getting offers that are as is."
Right.
So, like, that whole thing really confuses people out there.
And then, the listing agent then has to tell their seller, like, "You see that ring right
Yeah,
there? If the appraiser notices that, I can't say they will, but
yeah.
they may call for a roof cert." So, again, you're selling it as is, they accepted it as
Doesn't
is,
mean it's happening.
but the appraisal
Yeah.
says otherwise. So,
Yeah.
unless you're buying it in cash, we gotta get this done, and it could
Yep.
be nothing, or it could have been something that there was a leak, we
And it
just
got
never
fixed.
repainted.
Right.
So then
Yeah.
why didn't you repaint it?
Yeah, well,
So
that part.
again, right. So
It's tough. It's tough. But a lot of people just don't understand that whole as is things, and it's like, you can want that all day, doesn't mean that's what's gonna happen.
right.
So a lot of people get very confused by that. So yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah, and then, when we were talking about different things that primarily you find in Baltimore City. Like, outside of Baltimore City, there's really no such thing as a ground rent.
Yeah, only I've seen it in Towson, so that I owned a, townhome in Towson, and it had ground rent. I'm like,
Very
"That's so
few in the
weird."
county,
Yeah, in
but
Glen Burnie
I'm talking out
sometimes.
other states.
Yeah,
Like, there
nowhere.
are lenders that will not lend in Baltimore City because they don't understand
Right.
ground rent.
Ground rent's so easy to just
Yeah,
redeem.
all that it means is, look, a lot of these homes in the city were built in, like, the
Yeah,
1800s, and back then, somebody bought
the
the
land.
land
Yeah.
for and when and well, we'll get to that, but so they don't own the property, but they own the land that it sits on.
Which is just so weird, and a lot of people can't even wrap their brains around that. Like, how do you own the land but not the house on it? Or how do you
Right.
own the house but not the land it's on?
That's why it doesn't happen
Yeah,
anymore,
it's
but the
wild.
fact of the matter is that when you like, think about it, a title company's trying to research the ground rent holder, and they're looking at documents that were recorded in 1900 or
Yeah,
1850, and then half the time you can't even find the ground rent holder, or if you could, they hadn't received a payment in 15
yeah.
years. They didn't even know they owned it, you
Right.
know? So a lot and when we're talking about ground rent, people like to associate it with a HOA fee.
Yeah, no,
A
different.
ground rent's like $90 a year.
If
And
that.
then it might cost maybe 1,500 to 3 grand to redeem it. And
Yeah,
then that in turn means that you own the land, the home, it's all fee simple.
correct.
So,
I just taught somebody that the other day during a listing appointment for Rogers Forge
right.
because they have ground rent there.
Right. So again, they're, in Baltimore City and some parts of the county
Yep, it
are
sticks
the
out.
only areas like other people, when you talk about other states, they don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
they can't even fathom, like, how on earth somebody could own the land your house is on.
Right.
Like,
And
and
they're
it
like a deer in
yeah,
headlights when
it's
they're,
weird.
that's why like a lot of these DSCR lenders and not hard money, but the non-QM lenders, like the bank statement loans and all that, they will not lend in downtown Baltimore.
Oh,
It's crazy. A lot of them will not lend in
I
Baltimore
don't see why
City
they can't just lend with the requirement that the ground rent gets
because
redeemed.
people are lazy and they don't want to take time to learn
This
it.
is true.
And, but